For centuries, we've kind of pictured the brain as this incredibly complex, but ultimately fixed machine. Like, you're born, the hardware is set, and that's just the brain you've got for life. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if your brain is more like a dynamic, living fabric that's constantly reweaving itself every single moment of your life? Well, today, we're diving into the revolutionary science of a mind that literally never stands still.
So, to get started, I've got to ask you a question that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Seriously, can a person live a totally normal life with only half a brain? I'm not talking about a damaged half. I mean half of it is completely gone.
Now, this is not a thought experiment. This is a real person named Matthew. As a little kid, he had this rare disease, Rasmussen's encephalitis, that caused these just relentless, awful seizures. And the only known treatment was about as radical as it gets, a hemispherectomy. A surgeon literally drilled into his skull and removed the entire right half of his brain.
The surgery worked, it stopped the seizures, but you can imagine his parents were terrified. I mean, who would their son be when he woke up? The answer? Well, it would challenge pretty much everything we thought we knew about the human brain.
And this is where the story just gets unbelievable. Today, Matthew lives a completely normal life. He has a job at a restaurant, handles customer service, and his own mom says if they didn't know, they wouldn't know. Yeah, he has a slight limp, but other than that, you'd have no clue he's missing 50% of his brain.
So, how on earth is this possible, right? I mean, you couldn't chop your smartphone in half and expect to make a call. Hardware is fragile. It breaks. So what makes the brain so different? What allows it to withstand this kind of massive, massive damage and just keep on going?
The answer lies in this really groundbreaking concept from a neuroscientist named David Eagleman. The reason Matthew's brain could recover is that it isn't hardwired like a computer. No, it's livewired.
So what does that even mean, liveware? Well, it's this idea that the brain isn't a static piece of machinery at all. It's a dynamic, living system that is constantly reconfiguring itself. Imagine this living, three-dimensional tapestry inside your head that's always shifting and adjusting to whatever life throws at it.
And this difference is just fundamental. A hardwired machine, its structure is fixed. You damage it, it's broken. End of story. But a live-wired brain, it adapts. When Matthew lost his entire right hemisphere, the left half didn't give up. It dynamically rewired itself to take over those missing functions. It basically squeezed the fullness of a whole life into half the space. Livewire endures.
And this isn't just some crazy thing that happens after a major injury. This is about who you are, right now, listening to this. Every single experience you have, every song you hear, every new thing you learn, it physically changes your brain. You are literally, not figuratively, a different person than you were yesterday. But this whole process, it isn't gentle. It's a battle.
Yeah, this constant change isn't some polite, organized process. It is a relentless, high-stakes war. Right now, inside your skull, different parts of your brain are locked in this constant, fierce competition for territory and for resources. It's like a neurological Cold War.
This battle for brain space actually explains a really strange phenomenon, the phantom limb. You've probably heard of it. After Admiral Horatio Nelson lost his arm in a battle, he started feeling it was still there. So vividly, in fact, that he thought his missing fingernails were digging into his missing palm. He took it as proof of a soul. But the real reason was even weirder.
Okay, think of it like this. The nerves from your arm are like French colonists who've claimed a chunk of the New World, a part of your brain. To hold on to that land, they have to constantly send ships, which are neural signals. Well, when Nelson's arm was amputated, the ships stopped coming. All of a sudden, that chunk of brain territory was undefended. So what happened? The neighbors, in this analogy, the British, the brain regions for his face and his shoulder, they invaded and took over that prime, unused real estate. And that's why, when someone touched his face, he could actually feel a sensation in his phantom hand.
And this battle isn't just about lost limbs, it's happening all the time. Have you ever felt your phone buzz, you reach for it, and then realize it's not even in your pocket? Well, your brain has become so used to that important signal that a huge territory is now dedicated to phone.
A random muscle twitch, or even just your jeans brushing against your leg, gets misinterpreted as a buzz because that territory is hungry for input. It's basically a modern-day phantom limb.
Okay, so if the brain is this flexible, if it's constantly remapping itself based on whatever information it gets, what are the limits? Can we actually take advantage of this live wiring to hack our own senses? The answer is a resounding, mind-blowing yes.
See, it turns out your brain is the ultimate general-purpose computer. It doesn't really care how it gets information as long as that information is useful. And this has led to this incredible field called sensory substitution. Scientists have built devices that let blind people see using patterns of electric shocks on their tongue. They've helped deaf people hear using vibrations on their torso. The brain just gets the data and figures out what to do with it.
Which brings us to an even wilder question. It's impossible to imagine a new color, right? We all try it as kids and we can't do it. But what if you didn't have to imagine it? What if you could build a brand new sense to perceive it?
Meet Neil Harbison. He's the world's first officially recognized cyborg. He was born completely colorblind, saw the world in grayscale. Now he has an antenna attached to his skull that converts light waves into sound frequencies, which he perceives through bone conduction. So he doesn't just see the colors we do. He can hear infrared and ultraviolet, senses that humans don't naturally have. His brain just learned to interpret this completely new data stream. It's incredible.
So these principles of live wiring, they're not just about restoring senses we've lost. They're about expanding them. They're about building a bionic future where we can control bodies and perceive realities way beyond our current biological limits.
Eagleman has a great name for this. He calls it the potato head model. And the idea is that evolution doesn't need to redesign the entire brain every time it wants to try out a new sense. All it has to do is build a new peripheral, a new plug-and-play device, like an eye or an ear, and the general-purpose brain will just figure out how to use the data. This explains the amazing diversity of senses we see across the entire animal kingdom.
This very same principle lets the brain adapt to totally different body plans. Take Matt Stutzman. He was born without any arms. Now, his brain didn't come with some pre-written program for an armless body. It just took the hardware it was given, his legs and his feet, and through tons of practice, it figured out how to become the best archer in the world, a world record holder. So if the brain can adapt to a body with missing parts, can it adapt to one with extra parts? You bet. In a landmark experiment, a monkey learned to control a third robotic arm using its thoughts alone. Its brain just rewired itself to incorporate this new limb, and it used it to feed itself marshmallows. Adding limbs, believe it or not, is no longer just science fiction.
So we've gone from half a brain all the way to a third arm. But the real takeaway here, the big idea from the science of live wiring, it isn't just about cool bionic futures or amazing tech. It's about a fundamental shift in how we understand our very selves.
You are not a static being. You're not a final product. Your identity is a process. The person you are in this very moment is just a snapshot, a temporary pattern woven into that gargantuan, living tapestry of your brain. And tomorrow, you're going to be someone new all over again.
The philosopher Martin Heidegger, I think, captured this perfectly. You begin your life with almost infinite possibilities, with a brain that's open to becoming pretty much anyone. But with every experience, every choice, every single moment, those paths begin to narrow. The live-wired brain slowly solidifies, and you become the unique, one-of-a-kind person you are at the end. Your life is the story of that becoming.